Regular squad is here and heavily caffeinated. That late start last night. Saturday's up till all hours of the morning, but he's ready to roll on this Tuesday. Let's go with the late game last night. We had the Chargers and the Raiders in Las Vegas while you were sleeping. Lots of interesting things going on. Jim Harbaugh getting his side ready. Social media was a Twitter with Tom Brady, part owner of the Raiders, in the booth with the headsets on. Lots to be said about it. Meanwhile, it didn't help the Raiders on their first offensive snap of the game. Geno Smith picked.
Not how you want to start. A lot of excitement on the sideline. You don't want to give it to the other team right there, Grady.
Chargers get a field goal off the turnover. It's 3-0. 30 seconds in the quarter. Tied at 3. Justin Herbert, Nick, look at him move.
Oh, yeah, they blitzed him. He still evades the pressure in the pocket. Buys time. Perfect throw.
Keenan Allen, Chargers at 10.
How fired up you need to be, man.
We got the moves. And how about this? J-Mac, the throw from Herbert for Quentin Johnston.
He can catch it. Everybody stop talking about him. Quentin Johnston has been balling this year.
Take another look at this. Herbert, I'm telling you right now, with that guy as his coach, save some space in the MVP conversation as this thing goes for him. He would throw for 242 and 2 scores last night. Meanwhile, it just wasn't Geno Smith's night. 6 minutes to go in the game, 3rd and 15. That one is tipped and picked. Dante Jackson with that one. Smith would throw 3 interceptions on the night. Then all eyes, of course, are on the handshake afterwards between the two coaches. Pete Carroll's 74th birthday. It wasn't the happiest of birthdays for him. So the Chargers get the win. But a lot of conversation about Brady in the booth. Let's start there. Let me give you the background in case you haven't heard it. The Raiders offensive coordinator Chip Kelly told ESPN that he speaks with Brady 2 to 3 times a week, going through film and the game plan for the next game. Pete Carroll was asked about that after the game. Here's what he said.
That's not accurate. We have conversations. I talk to Tom. Chip talks to Tom regularly. I mean, we have a tremendous asset. And so, and we all get along well and we respect each other. And so we just talk, about life and football and whatever it comes. And he has great insight. So we're lucky to have him as an owner.
Okay, so social media loses its collective mind, conflict of interest. We all understand how these conversations go. What can you tell us, Dan, about what the rules are?
Well, I mean, first of all, if he's part owner of the team, if he wants to talk to the coaches, that it was made clear when he bought whatever percentage of the team, 10% of the team, that he was going to be involved in the operations of the team. So that's not a surprise. The issue, of course, that people are raising is he's also the lead, broadcaster on Fox's Sunday games.
Right.
And in that capacity, he gets to go to production meetings, which are, behind the scenes, off the record conversations with coaches and players ahead of the game to help the broadcast crew know what's going on and he gets to go to practices. Now, the league put some rules in last year that because of his association with the Raiders, he couldn't do a normal schedule that a broadcaster would do. But even this year, they've relaxed some of those rules. So it doesn't feel like, even though there are people around the league that complain about this, it doesn't feel like the league's interested in doing anything about it, resolving that conflict of interest issue. He's also way overdressed for the coaches. Like that's the other thing, right? Like he looks out of place up there.
My understanding is that he attends those meetings with the coaches during the week virtually, meaning he's not actually in the building and he doesn't attend the practices. So there are some rules that remain in place for him. His first year, he wasn't allowed to speak to them at all. So there's that. Let's dive into whether this really is a thing or not. Like we live in a world now where we make everything into such a big deal. You do games every single week. How much information do you get, would you say you get from those conversations that if you wanted to be clear, you never would do this, but if you wanted to use them for the benefit of another team, how much of it could you actually?
It's such a tough question because it's so different depending upon the coach. But in those meetings, you are fully discussing what the team is going on that week, specific to a single game. So you may get into what players are available for the game that given Sunday. You may get into a little bit of what your philosophy is going into that game. So you do get a lot of information that if you went out and just spread it out, it would be very difficult for those teams. That's why those meetings are very different than when a head coach stands up at a podium and answers questions from a reporter. That is a more relaxed setting that you can let your guard down some. But at the same time, most head coaches, when they walk into that meeting, they still understand you're a part of the media, and they're not going to tell you their entire game.
I totally, and we're not saying Brady would do this either, right?
Yes.
We're not trying to accuse you. This has a bad look. And it's awkward for coaches, and it's not just the coaches. J-Mac, they talk to players, and players aren't always as guarded, especially with other players. Like, you're sitting around talking ball. It's all of those things, and it's okay. You know, it's a little bit okay now because the Raiders aren't very good yet, right? Pete Carroll's just getting there. They're trying to get it. Let's say they start leading the AFC West, and they start becoming the number one, and he's calling their games. It just becomes very sticky, in my opinion, the way it looks. And I'm not saying Brady's doing anything wrong. No. He's following the rules, but and they have the same tailor. Y'all both look sharp today. But it's just that thing for me.
Let me give a hard, concrete example of this. Next week, this coming week, Tom Brady is scheduled to do the game between the Cowboys and the Bears.
Right.
The following week, the Bears play the Raiders.
Yeah.
So he is, in theory, going to be talking to the Bears coaches this week, asking whatever it is he asks. They'll tell him whatever it is they tell him. And then the following week, they're playing the team of which he is the part owner. That's why people, I think, are making a big deal of it.
Yeah, and I don't think it matters whether there's, like, I understand what J-Mac was saying, that there's not a lot of information and coaches are guarded, but sometimes the players aren't as guarded. I don't think it matters whether they're guarded or not. The thing is, you do not want the perception, the opportunity for any impropriety. And if you are going to take this risk, I would think that you would take this risk because the benefit was so great. In that case, it doesn't seem to like line up necessarily that he's either such a great owner that he can't walk away from that, or such a great broadcaster that he has to also be an owner, or they just let him show up and talk and do the games. I would be upset or uncomfortable if I were a player on it.
I think that's the key point. You went to journalism school.
Yeah.
They taught about avoid the appearance of impropriety.
Right.
Even if you are fundamentally ethical, if someone on the outside can look and say, well, that doesn't make sense, he shouldn't be doing that in that role and also that role, that offers the possibility for an abuse of one or the other. So I'm surprised, honestly, that the NFL hasn't been more concerned about this. You do hear it again from other teams, from coaches, other teams. Like, is this all right? But it does not seem like something anybody wants to actually do.
Can I just tell you how paranoid coaches are? So my first year I retired. I worked for ESPN and I worked for the Colts for Mr. Irsay. When I would go back to the building, the coaching staff, which was Pagano and Grigson, right, and they're new, and they didn't know me. I knew Bruce Arians, but I was just getting to know all those guys. I couldn't go to the back portion of the building, right, because, you know, Peyton's still playing. All my buddies are still playing, and that's how paranoid coaches and staffs are. So that to your point, any slight chance of anything passing just gets very uncomfortable in those settings.
Quickly on that, I wonder down the line, you just talked about the fact that the Bears now are in the crosshairs of that. Do they start to say, you know what, like I don't want to make Caleb Williams available for your broadcast team to talk. My head coach, he's not going to go talk Ben Johnson. I wonder, does that come up when now teams are seeing that during a game?
We'll have to wait and see. It's not what we anticipated talking about this morning, but it clearly is the thing that everyone on social media was grasping onto. In an unrelated story, the Chargers right now might be the best team in the AFC West.
The most important.
We'll get back to that. In the meantime, the early game last night was a thriller right down to the finish. Baker Mayfield and the Bucs, C.J. Stroud and the Texans in the early